people online who are constantly looking for things to be offended by, and now a horror game named Infestation 88 is getting a name change after the title was accused of being an NZ dog whistle. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start off with this Bounding into Comics article. It's what I'm primarily going to be referencing. It says, in the latest case of social media woke scolds being whipped into a frenzy by their own delusions, a Steamboat Willie inspired horror video game has chosen to rename itself after its original title was accused of being a secret signal to supporters of anti-Semitic and specifically NZ ideology. This is such a ridiculous situation to have to talk about. The fact that not only were there some individuals out there who were trying to find offense in this, but also the fact that the developers are ultimately bending the knee to this outrage. It says, announced on January 1st alongside the classic Disney cartoons entry into the public domain, the upcoming debut from fledgling developer Nightmare Forge Games sees players take on the role of a vermin exterminator who, upon their team's arrival to their latest job, discovers that the location is overrun by a legion of rats led by a monstrous version of its source material's star character. Now, it seems like they've been working on this for a few years at this point. Primarily because, of course, it only just went into, the classic Disney cartoon, Steamboat Willie, only just went into the public domain on January 1st, and that is when they announced this, and of course it does look like they have put a lot of work and effort into it, and you would think that that would be enough for people saying, wow, these developers are coming out with a product that they feel passionate about, but no, there are people who are constantly looking for something to be offended by, because at the time of its initial reveal, the game was unveiled as Infestation 88. However, given the widespread use of the 88 by supremacists as a coded reference to the phrase Hail Hitler, the title's reference to the number was soon taken by a large swath of internet activists as a supposed signal of the studio's own NZ beliefs, which is just so insane. And not only is it that, but they looked even further into this, trying to find different connections. Somebody named Call Me POV said Infestation 88 is 14 characters, including the space. They've also apparently been around for 14 years. This can't be a coincidence when you've already invoked one dog whistle openly. Seems suspect to link to the other ones repeatedly. Now, you might be asking, what does the 88 stand for in this title? The fact that this game is set in 1988. That is all that it boils down to. That is all that the developers were trying to do here. But instead, of course, there are people online who take things like this and go, yeah, you know what? We're gonna run with this narrative that this is all connected. It's some major conspiracy. I mean, we are clearly talking about coincidences here. The developers came out and said our game Infestation 88 is set in the 1980s with the year 88 chosen simply due to its symmetrical design in the game's artwork / logo. Yeah, I mean, I thought the artwork and logo for this game were pretty good. I like the general theme of this game. I mean, I think that it does definitely look like a pretty thematic horror game. It does not look bad by any means, but of course, there are people who are taking this and running with the fact that, oh my gosh, look at all of these coincidences. Let's be offended. And now the developers have unfortunately bent the knee to this outrage. Instead of standing by this product that they created, they have now come out and said, we chose it simply due to its symmetrical design in the game's artwork and logo. Unfortunately, we were unaware of any additional meanings the number 88 has. However, after learning about this, this, we're changing the game's name to Infestation Origins. We apologize for our ignorance on this and appreciate that it was brought to our attention so we could address it ASAP. The problem with doing this, with bending the knee to these people, is that first of all, they go online and they are constantly looking for things to be offended by. These individuals are not going to now purchase your game because you changed the title or because you might change some of the art for this title. They're not going to support it. And I get that these developers don't want their product to be misconstrued or overshadowed by any controversy in any way, shape, or form, because for indie devs, it can be sink or swim. If people hate your game, you're not going to sell it, and then ultimately your studio goes out of business. But at the same time, by bending the knee to these individuals and taking their demands that you change the game's name and artwork seriously, by giving them that time of day, all you've done is pushed other consumers away, people who would have supported you even if you had not changed this name, if you had just stuck to your original creative direction. I mean, this is so pathetic. It's like you can't put two eights together anymore. Oh, were you born in 1988? Oh, well, that means you must be a terrible person. Are you a Nazi? I mean, if you are looking for something to be offended by, you'll find it. And that is what these people do. They look for things. They pick things apart to find something that they could be upset by, even if it's teeny tiny like this, and then they run with it. They get off on the fact that they can cancel studios, cancel individuals, get names of projects canceled. These developers, again, I'm not specifically blaming them, I'm blaming many developers who have done things like this. They are giving these individuals power. They are telling them, yeah, by complaining a few times on social media, you can get a whole entire project derailed, you can get creatives canceled, and you can get products changed. It's just such a sad day that we live in, where creatives are not allowed to create a video game that they feel passionate about. I mean, there are plenty of video games out there that straight up, have Nazi imagery in them. Of course, you're usually killing the Nazis, but it is what it is. It is still a video game at the end of the day, and we are talking about developers who are coming out and simply saying that it was never meant to be, taken in that way, taken in that context. But of course, there are people out there who get off on the fact that they can cancel studios, creatives, and derail projects like this, and that is what is happening with this game. I actually thought that it looked really good, and I will still be keeping my eye on it as it is continuously being developed, because it doesn't come out for a while. Again, I thought that the gameplay itself looked pretty interesting and the theme looked pretty interesting, but it is still disappointing to see developers ultimately change the name of their product because they were being because their product was being accused of being a Nazi dog whistle. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.